Ooh, hello. How's long time no see. I haven't done a vlog in a while. Except that's not true, because I've done vlogs for the last 2 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, actually. I filmed them, and then just never put them on YouTube. For reasons. But here we are. We're here. And we got a lot to talk about. So, let's get right into it. Shipping was delayed because of Chinese New Year. Over the Chinese New Year, I made a lot of changes. I had time to really slow down, think about things, look at things. One of the biggest changes was, let's see if I have something. I do have something off screen. See if I can pour and grab it. I can. This is the new shipping containers. This is the new packaging containers. Teas are individually wrapped, 5 grams each, and at the moment, so for the most part, they're gonna come in little thingamadoos like this, containers. This is the average one. I am gonna start to roll out boxes, like tasting boxes. For example, I have a silver needle box I wanna do. And so for those, did I just mix the rinse? I might have, forgot. For those, I'll get some nicer boxes. That's the nice things about individually wrapped teas is that you can put them in different boxes and yeah, it's much more flexible packaging wise. So that's that. So, but because I made all those changes over Chinese New Year and there's no Taobao over Chinese New Year because there's no shipping. I had to wait for Chinese New Year to end and then order the stuff and pack the stuff, and so things were set back a little bit, but everything should be out by now. So that's that. Dog shelter. I really want to touch on the dog shelter really quick. Just give a whole thing. Some of you know that I'm very active in dog shelters. And a dog shelter that I was very active in, Suzhou, got hit with pneumonia. So I did do some fundraising there. But in the middle of the fundraising, I was talking to people who were still in Suzhou and they were still going to the dog shelter. And they were like, this dog shelter is being very poorly run. With the pneumonia outbreak, a lot of the dogs are still being let out of their cages at the same time. Which is just the dumbest thing to do when you have a contagious disease. So there's a little bit of drama there, a little bit of like, do I want to give these people the money if they're gonna just be stupid with it, if they're gonna be like just stupid with the way they run this shelter. But then a friend of mine in Suzhou talked to the local vet, and they were like, look, they are sending dogs to the vet. So the money did end up going. I did send the money. It was like over $200, which was awesome. Thank you guys so much. In the future, the money will not be going to that shelter. And there's a lot of, I'm skipping over a lot of stuff about communication, and anyway, I'm skipping over a lot of stuff. The money has always gone to the Huangshan shelter. The Huangshan shelter is smaller, but the staff there are really on top of it. They regularly make improvements to the shelter. They just redid the shelter space, or just got a new one, which is great. They're very active in looking for donations, and then they use the donations well. They do adoption, events within Huangshan, so they're very active in getting the dogs out of the shelter. And all of these, by the way, Suzhou doesn't do. The Suzhou shelter does not do it. The Suzhou shelter is bare bones, doesn't really look like, it's a whole thing, and it makes me quite upset. Yeah, so that's that. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today, the focus is pre-sales. We're doing pre-sales completely different this year. So, in the past, pre-sales have just been At best, a pain in the butt. At worst, a complete fucking mess. And the thing is, because the problem is presales don't allow any room for change, any room for things to come up. If I buy, so last year I pre-sold the Beetlechun, and I accidentally bought the picking that was like a few days too early. Because last year, because I like buying the second picking, but because last year the pick dates were later, I bought pickings on the same day as 2 years ago, and 2 years ago was fantastic. Same pickings as 2 years ago, but because last year's was delayed, it was a different picking. It was the first pick instead of second pick. And that was still good. That was just a small example, but in the past, when I tried to do, but I still had to send it out. I still had to, I couldn't be like, hey, this is not, I don't want to put this in the pre-sales. I think one of the worst was, there was one year where, a couple years ago, I was doing pre-sales on Malfungs, and that was the first years that, like, Malfungs kind of slipped. There was Malfungs, and I've mentioned this before, so I won't go too much into it. Malfungs used to be a lot better, and I don't know why. And this year, I'm looking for brand new makers altogether. Because a few years ago, kind of after the pandemic, I had 3 main makers, and they all kind of, I can't really figure out why. I have some theories, but I can't figure out why. But that was a year where, so for example, somebody pre-ordered a few ounces of the Hogu. The Hogu wasn't that good, but somebody had pre-bought it, so I had to send it to him. The Cheeman sampler pack last year, you guys remember, I went to Huangshan to look for 3 Cheemans, and I was able to get 2 pretty quickly, but that third one became like impossible to find because all my normal connects were kind of falling flat. And I ended up finding that, but I ended up having to delay it, and that third Cheeman wasn't as good as I would have wanted it to be. So when you have pre-sales, there is, on the side of me, the seller, the sourcer, there's a lot of pressure to get a certain type of tea in a certain time frame, and that can sometimes take away from quality, or that can take away from how fast does it get to the person. So this year, we're going to get rid of that. This year, what's going to happen is you can, and right now I'm using the word invest, because I think that's the best way to kind of, there's a better word, I'm sure. You can charge your card, I guess you could say. Basically, you can go on the website, you can go to the pre-sale, and you can select $100. It's like $5, $10, $50, $75, $100, and then of course you can select more than one. But so let's say you select $100, and you pay $100. What you're going to get back, what I'm going to immediately give you is $120 store credit. So you pay money, and then you get the money back, but with 20% more in store credit. And this has a ton of benefits. And then with that store credit, as I put the teas on the website, you can buy them. And I think the best way to do this would be when a tea comes up that you like, you add it to your cart, and you just kind of keep a cart running. And then I will kind of give a schedule of like, okay, here's what's coming, here's what's coming, here's what's coming. Okay, it's over. That's it. This is all the teas of the new season. And then at that point, you can be like, okay, good. This is what I want. So a couple of things there. Ton of benefits there. Benefit on my end is I'm not pressured to put a tea on the website that I wouldn't normally put on the website. If I look for Malfungs this year and I just can't find any Malfungs that I like, there's no Malfungs, and that's it. I don't have to worry about, but they pre-ordered Malfungs. Not going to put it on the website. On the other hand, if I find one Malfung, I can just put one on. A lot of great freedom on my end. On the consumer's end, on your guys' end, on the buyer's end, on the tea drinker's end, it's also great because there's also freedom on your end, where, you know, if you bought, if you bought $30 worth of Malfung in a presale, but then you see some of the Chimins, but then you see that I find these really good Chimins. I go to Chimin and I found this amazing Chimin. And part of you is like, damn, I wish I'd done a Chimin presale. Now you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about which presale should I choose, and I've never had this tea, I don't know, and I don't really want to get an ounce of this. Maybe I just want to get some samples, because that's the other thing. With this, you can choose how much of a tea you get. If you're really excited for the Malfungs and you're slightly curious about this other tea, get an ounce of Malfung and get a sample of this other tea. Just a lot of freedom. There's no time constraints. You know, you can hold it and hold it and hold it, and you can kind of wait for the whole season, and then at the end of May, you can be like, okay, I like this. Or you can just spend it all at once. So completely up to you. Still get the discounts of presale, still get the fresh teas of presale, but a lot less stress, a lot less pressure, and there is more of a guarantee of quality. Nothing's going to be put on the website just because I said, oh, I would put it on the website. No struggle to fill a promise. I can just say, okay, this is it. This is what we found. What would you like? So that's that. I think this is a really good way. I think it's a really good way. Let me taste this black tea jasmine. Yeah, I think that's a really good way. I think it's really nice. This jasmine, by the way, is on the website, and I highly recommend it because it's about a year old, and like red teas after a year, beautiful. This red tea is so thick and so juicy and so like raspberry like. And the red tea is so flavorful and full that the jasmine is just like a note. You know, it's not something that's like super heavily jasmine and just like a little bit of red tea. It's like a lot of red tea, and then the level of jasmine is almost like if you didn't know any better, you might think it was natural. It was just like you might get a jasmine aroma or orchid aroma from a natural tea, an unscented tea. This is really nice right now, and it got better in the last year, so highly recommended. But yeah, I'm gonna keep this vlog pretty short because I really just want to focus on pre-sales. Pre-sales are gonna be a big thing. I've actually I've kind of slowed down in searching for new teas. Usually I'm always kind of looking for new teas, but now I'm just like, let me just slow down on searching for these new teas, and let's just focus on this upcoming tea season, all the finances, all the energy. I don't want to be throwing new teas from last year and the new teas from the season. That's a lot going on. So I really want to focus on this tea season. This tea season is going to be awesome. We're going to talk more about this tea season a lot coming up, because one of the things we are going to talk about that I don't really want to talk about now is the schedule. One thing I noticed last year is that teas are finished at very, very different times. You know, you have the green teas, then you have the red teas and some of the later picked green teas, and then you have the white teas, and then you have the oolongs, the Tia Kuan Yin specifically. And they don't overlap as much as I thought before, which is another reason why I wanted to do this style, is that so nobody is placing an order and then waiting a shit ton of time till it comes. You place the order and it's shipped out at least in the next few days. Because that was a big problem last year too, especially because I had to go home for the wedding, is that people placed an order and sometimes had to wait a month or two. If they placed the order really early and they got a really late picked tea, the white teas were picked much later than I thought. Some people waited like 2 months, and that was ridiculous. And someone just messaged me about that the other day. That was crazy. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about this more. I'm still working on ways to clearly express this so people can kind of understand at a glance. But I think this is an awesome system. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, so thank you very much. There's a nice short one today, very to the point. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Obviously, we're going to try and produce. There's going to be a lot of tea videos hopefully this year. This tea season, I do want to spend like a week in Huangshan, really exploring Huangshan, going to different places. So that's going to be a lot of cool videos. Yeah, like white tea. White tea, this is my last note and then I'll finish. White tea is a hard tea to study the making of because it's over such a long time. And this is what I realized last year. Like when you're learning about the making of green tea, super fucking easy. Because when I go to my friend who makes Bilo Chun, fresh leaves hit the pot, and then 45 minutes later, finished tea comes out. And so you can watch tea making 2 or 3 times over in a span of a few hours, and you can ask questions, and you can and he can point at things. But with white tea, you know, so last year I went to my friend's shop, my friend's factory to check on his white tea making. It's just teas lying in a room, and he'll kind of go around and he'll look and he'll move and he'll shake and he'll do all these little things, but then he's like, okay, we're done. And it's just he's doing a lot of observing. It's such a longer, slower process that it's almost harder to film and it's harder to like extract info from because things aren't really happening right in front of you as they are in other makings. So that was something I realized last year. That was really funny. But no, a lot of green tea stuff will be coming, so very looking forward to the green tea stuff. So, all right, thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe because a lot of good stuff is coming. Thank you all. I appreciate all of you.